right there. That is how you add tension and release into your blues. Too jazzy for you? Well, think of it a bit like spicy seasoning for your food. Too much, and it's overpowering. Too little, it's a little bland. But you get it just right. It's divine. This is what's called a diminished seventh arpeggio. Now, scary name, I know, but it's just one note different than one of the most common chords that you play in the blues. This right here is an A7. If we want to make it into a diminished chord, we just add a B flat. That's the flat 9 is what that's called. See how much different that sounds? And we wouldn't make it like that. We would really make it like this. But diminished chords are really fun, not in how much tension they create, but in the resolution that comes afterward. Look, if I take the same chord and then slide it down to D7, see how it all resolves? I mean, the tension is just begging for release. You can work these chords into your blues to add color and character. Cool thing about these chords is it's really just a series of stacked minor thirds. Remember what a minor third is? That's what makes a chord sound minor. There's a major chord. Change it from a major third to a minor third, it changes the whole sound and feel of the chord. Well, a diminished chord is 3 of those stacked on top of each other. So on the guitar, they're 3 frets apart. 3 semitones makes the minor third interval. So 3 frets makes it that. Because there are 3 stacked on top of each other, you can get this same chord by just moving it 3 frets. 1, 2, 3. It's exact same chord, same shape, just a different inversion. The notes are stacked up differently. So once you learn your arpeggios, you can move them 3 frets in either direction, play the same shape, and it will still work. It's going to resolve to a different note, but it's going to resolve and it's going to work. So it's a fun thing to do. So let's take a look at some of these shapes. If you look at this diagram here, you can see this is one of the easiest ways to make the arpeggio. It looks like a little cross, and you notice the green note on there is the note we're trying to resolve to, the target note. Now you can use these chords, the B flat diminished 7th works resolving to an A chord or resolving to a D chord. You can use them either way. If you've got a long part that holds on an A, you can use this to resolve to an A note. That'll look like this. You see that little amount of tension there, that half step that resolves back to the root is a real fun sound. It kind of looks like a cross. You're resolving to that green note. So that one works for A. That's the B flat diminished. Really, you just take whatever chord you're on and make the diminished 7th chord a half step above it. So we've got an A chord. We want to make the diminished with a half step above that. So that makes your diminished chord. Now, the way you work these into your blues, you really want to do the last beat before it starts a new measure, and do it quickly. You don't want to add too much tension. You don't want to just go. You want to do it kind of quickly. I like to use 16th notes to really go quickly. Now you can do the same thing if you're on a D chord. Just shift it up here to where you're going to resolve to that D. You can make the same shape. So you can think backwards. You can start on the note you want to resolve to, the green note there, and then build your little cross shape around that. So find the note you want to resolve to, and build a little cross shape. And you can play that over any chord in the blues if it kind of holds for a while. You can do that. If you wanted to do E, find your E, then make the little cross. It's a F diminished seventh shape. It's 1/2 step above whatever chord you're trying to land on there. So that's a fun thing you can do. You can also use this to transition between chords. So let's go back to A, and that's the B flat diminished seventh, 1/2 step above. So what that's going to do, if you think about it, A is in a D chord. It's the 5th of the D chord. So you can use this to transition. That's one of the marks of a really mature blues soloist, is that they don't just play things that sound good. They transition between the changes, create a little bit of tension there, and it really moves the solo along. So one of the ways you can do that, just wait till that last measure of A7 before it shifts to the D, and it still works. So target where you want to be. Think about either a transition or a root. Find that, build the little cross, and land on home base there. Your root is always your home base. So that's a fun way to add some color, some character to your blues. Let's talk about a couple other ways to do this same thing. We've been doing it on the high 3 strings here. If you move it up 1, it just changes the shape of your cross, kind of inverts it. And so you still kind of find your root note that you want to either transition to or resolve to. And this time you're going to put your middle finger on it, and you're going to invert the cross. So it's like making a D chord down here, and you got this finger here. And it really, these diminished chords cause your fingers to really kind of walk across the fretboard. If this motion is really something you're not used to, one of the things you can do is the spider exercise. So just, and that's just hitting 1 fret per finger and keeping your fingers in position. You can do that up and down in multiple places, and that builds some muscle memory so that your fingers can more easily go. It's the same notes that you were making over here. It's just in a different place. The cross is backwards. You could do these on the lower strings. Just if you want to find what the diminished chord is, remember, whatever chord you're on, if you want to play a diminished chord over it, go 1/2 step above it, and then count 3 frets, and do that 3 times, and that'll give you those 4 notes that are in that diminished 7th chord that you can use. So let's say you're playing B flat. Well, go 1 fret above, and you've got a B, and then you're going to go 3 frets, 1, 2, 3. You got a D, go 3 more frets, 1, 2, 3. There's an F, and then 1, 2, 3. It'd be an A flat. And find those 3 notes anywhere on the fretboard. It's going to make your arpeggio to resolve back to that B flat. And lots of different shapes you can do. Find one that's comfortable for you. For me, it's that little cross shape I talked about. But also, if you want to kind of hammer on it, this note of the cross, the top of the cross, is the same as this note down here. So if you want to make it a little more where you can hammer on, that makes it a little more fluid, a little more smooth. But the shape is different. That one. So that's one way to do this. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, leave a like and a comment. If you'd like tabs for this, they're available on my Patreon page. Thanks for watching. Have fun. Keep playing.